Good evening. Happy Monday. It is Patrick from Eight Questions With, and yes, we are starting a little later today. Normally we start at 8 o'clock Eastern, but today we started at 9. So we are glad that you followed us here. Um, and the reason why we pushed it back an hour is totally worth it because we are going to get to meet Jamie and Summer, the wonderful duo behind the Dolls of Horror. They are based out of Las Vegas, Nevada, and they are terrific. All right, people are coming on in. Hey, Jaden. Hi, V. How are you? Glad you guys are here. Yeah, we're ready to rock and roll tonight. We're gonna get the Dolls of Horror will be here in about 15 minutes, and we are gonna chop it up. We're gonna have a lot of fun. Um, I'm really happy to meet. I'm really happy to showcase these two, and it's something I really want to try to do more of in the blog or the podcast here is to bring more podcasters to the front. I enjoy talking to them. So far, we've only really talked to two podcasters. We've talked to uh, 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 the paranormal gentleman. Uh, oh God, John. I'll probably see. I already misnamed him. Um, and then we also interviewed the cast of Saint Mary's, the school for the uh, stigmata. So yeah, gosh, I got to go back and rewatch that paranormal interview because that was a lot of fun. That was the one that we hosted with Kevin K from Tuber Chat. Um, so I've sort of really wanted to do that. I've been thinking about that more and more, and I wanted to go ahead and start working toward that end because I like listening to different podcasts. Um, I listen to Michael Rosenbaum's. I listen to Zach Braff's and Donna Faison's. Uh, a lot of inspiration for this show. The format is actually from Michael Rosenbaum's. Um, I liked how he worked his podcast and the time and the time period and that he fitted in. It really does work well. Hey, there's waffles, everybody. All right. There is Steven taking a break from the evil bong before starting the fourth movie. Good Lord, you are a glutton for punishment. Gee, Williger. Um, I still have not gone over to Gory B Movies channel yet to see who won the full moon battle. I know that they had that yesterday on her channel, the battle of full moon characters. I did not go over and watch it yet. I personally think that the best character Full Moon ever made was probably Dr. Mordred, but that's just me. That's just me. I'm a big Full Moon guy, but I'm early Full Moon guy. I don't really, I don't, I though I did just watch the sequel to the Bolorama, the sorority base in the Slimerama. I watched the sequel yesterday on Tubi, and I have to sit there and say that Brink Stevens did a really nice job with that movie. It was really, really cute. Uh, it was it was sort of like a slightly grown up version of what we see in a Scooby Doo cartoon. Um, and it was really what I really liked about it too. Besides having our girl Audrey Neal going in there and kicking ass, but so was Kelly Maroney. Kelly Maroney was in the movie, and she looked like she was just having a blast. Uh, I just loved her whole demeanor in the movie. It was just like a deep sigh and a slightly rolled eyes, and but it was fun. It was like, okay, like this is what I'm having fun here. This is gonna be this is what it is, and let's have some fun. And yeah, it was. I was really surprised. I was expecting it to be really, really bad. I'll be honest with you. I was not expecting anything when it came in, but I was pleasantly surprised that Brink Stevens directed it, and it was really well done. Um, the you know the music tells you that the movie was going to be really lighthearted all the way through, and it was. And while the effects weren't all that, but that's what you expect from full moon. It's like watching an asylum movie or SRS. You get what you get. You can't sit there and walk in there and sit there and complain about anything when you know fully well what you're going to get when you walk in through the door. And for sorority babes, we got babes. Oh, we got babes. All right, there's some hotties in that movie. I'll tell you. Uh, there's some hotties in that movie, and plus Kelly Maroney, plus cameos by Brinke Stevens herself. I mean, what more could you want for a full moon movie? So, uh, all right. Oh, these ladies interacted with him before. All right, this will be my first time talking to them, other than preparing for the show. I have never met them before. So, but I do know they're based in Vegas. I do know that they're friends with Christy Adams from Nightmare Toys. So, and they had their finger on horror, and they do a lot of panels. They lead a lot of panels at conventions. They do interviews with the folks from the horror community, including a lot of actors and directors and actresses. So yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun. I have a lot of topics to talk to them about. We're gonna talk a little Scream. We're gonna talk a little Evil Dead. Yes, we're gonna talk a little ISC Midnight. I will be very surprised if they don't at least come up with a top three IFC list for me. I'm sure they have. I'm sure they've watched. Um, so it's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, thank you, Hobbs. Thank you, thank you. If you guys feel free to share us out too, if you will, share us out. That'll be awesome as well. Um, that will help the podcast out. Of course, hit the like button as well. Uh, yeah, 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 that was something. I was not expecting that last night. Neither anybody of us in our community chat was expecting that last night. I have fat finger syndrome. I've actually talked to somebody and then and actually called them up because of my fingers. Of hitting fat finger syndrome. Um, just going to take a moment here. I'm going to be doing this for a little bit too. But I just want to give a shout out to our good friend Steven, craving something scary. I want to give him a shout out too. He is tackling a monster that a lot of us sadly know a little bit too much or friends with. But he is in a battle. I just want to give a shout out to Steven, let him know that he's not alone. We're all here for him. We all want him to get well, come back. And after all, I mean, they did make Scream 7. So what's a Scream movie without craving something scary, right? So we're gonna be keeping you in our prayers. And yep. Oh, there's Mr. Bones in the house. Mr. Bones just crossed over the 900 sub mark. He is well on his way to 1,000. He is chasing us all down like the dogs that we are. He is chasing us down. He is chasing the Hobster. That's right. Midnight Hour. Hobbs is past 1,500. He's blazing by, and our friend Katie. I think Katie. Last I heard, Katie was at a 492. I think she was eight away. So that'll be awesome. Hey Rob, how are you? How are you? I saw what you did, Bones. I like that eye. I like the eye. All right. So I'll tell you what's going on with the calendar. Uh, uh, I have no idea how that works. I have no idea. Uh, oh, John, how are you? Glad you're here. Uh, yes, focus on your lives, your channels or chronicles, and your donut choices. Hobbs Horror has just entered Dunkin' Donuts. That's right. So I'll let you guys know that we are heading into April. We are booking April, and not only are we booking April, but we're already starting to book May. May is going to be Creators Month. That's right. We're going to be interviewing YouTube creators all month of May. So look for that coming up in May. We're going to be taking a break off from interviewing well-known folks as far as movies go, and we're going to interview people from in our communities. And I can't wait for that. I did it last year and I had a blast with it. So I said, why not do it this year too? And it will be along the same format as Women in Horror. And whereas that we are going to expand the shows, we're going to go from 3 shows a week to 5 shows a week because we have that many creators. We're going to try to get as many creators as we can in May. So that is coming up. We are starting to book that now. I'm pretty excited about that. There might be a celebrity or here or two inside that month if things work out. But otherwise, it's going to be Creators Month in May. And all right, the ladies are here, so let's put our hands together and welcome in the lovely ladies of the Dolls of Horror. Let's go.
Hi.
Hello, hello.
Hi, Patrick. How's it going?
Good, good. How are you, Jamie?
Oh, I'm doing great. Ready to talk some horror as
I'm
always.
ready. I'm ready. I'm ready. Will Summer be joining us here momentarily?
She will. I think she's getting ready now, so she should be hopping on with us in a second here.
Sure, sure. How's your day?
It was good, just a long day of work and ending it with my favorite thing, which is meeting new horror movie friends. So I'm
Oh,
excited to cut up some horror with you.
oh man, we're gonna chop it up. We're gonna chop it up.
Yeah.
I'm ready. I'm ready to talk. I'm ready to talk a little bit of mainstream. I want to talk a little bit about Scream 6 with you. Definitely got to do
Yeah.
that. We're gonna do. Are you guys a big followers of? Are you guys more followers of studios or of individuals?
Honestly, I would say a good mix. We talked to lots of indie filmmakers, and I love me some indie horror. We talk indie horror a lot, but we also love the big studio ones too. So, I mean, everything. Everything's fair game for us.
Hello, Summer. How
Hello.
are you?
I'm okay. I've been having internet issues tonight. My router went out, so I had to use my phone. And I forgot how much of a pain in the ass it is to use my phone. I haven't had to do this for a while.
It seems like the West Coast or the Western United States seems to have the most tech problems with us.
Man, I'm on the Midwest. I'm in Chicago.
You're in Chicago.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But it seems like in Vegas, Los Angeles, Portland, it always seems to have a little bit of an issue for some reason. East
It's the
Coast,
heat.
smooth. Um, wow, glad you guys are here. Glad you guys are here.
Yeah,
Happy to
And
be
thanks for
here.
having us.
I was really impressed with I was watching some of your videos and whatnot, and you guys really seem to have your thumb definitely on the pulse. I like the idea, and I thought it was a real homage to you that you guys are used for panels. That's a pretty good. That's not
Yeah.
everybody can walk up there and be a panelist at a convention. It's hard work because you're basically doing what we're doing in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
That can't be easy.
You never know what's going to happen in a live panel, but I think that makes it really fun. And it really helps to have such a good like girlfriend as a partner because we really kind of like balance off of each other and like play off of each other. And we always try to introduce ourselves to the people first, like, go out on the floor, say hi
Yeah.
to them. So you're not having that like cold, like, getting to know you like moment on stage.
Yep.
We like to kind of do that beforehand.
Right.
Sometimes we even do a dance.
Sometimes.
Really?
We did the can
A couple times.
in Chicago.
Oh, okay. So who was Roxy? Now see that's a fun show right there. That's a fun show.
Yeah.
I'm gonna. Can you guys see the chat? Okay.
I don't know.
I think so. I see it on the side. I think that's
Yeah.
it.
You know what? I
Uh,
can't because I'm on my phone.
okay.
So it's not
I
showing up
will.
for me.
I definitely will keep up with you guys. Everybody's coming in
Awesome.
saying hello, hello, hello.
Hi.
John is
Hi.
here.
Who's
John is here because that's my girl on Gore. And
here?
he's a Summer. And then Rob, our friend Rob, just came in and subbed to your channel. We got your channel being
Hey.
pushed.
Hi, Rob.
So yes, thank you guys so much. Uh, Hobbs wants to know if you'll do the time warp
I would
And
live.
all the time.
anytime.
All the time,
Rock,
anytime.
Rocky Horror Picture Show. Massive fans, right?
Big fans.
Yeah.
Huge. Huge.
We
Oh my
really
God.
like musicals, and musicals actually come up on our show a lot. So
Yes.
this is wild that we're talking about this right now, but it's so appropriate.
And can I actually plug something real quick?
You certainly may.
We are working on a spin-off musical podcast. If anyone out there is interested in that, producer Nina, I don't know if she's in the chat yet, but she said she'd be here at some point. And Jamie and myself, we're going to start some musical podcast talk too. So
I love musicals.
Yay.
I love musicals.
you'll have to come
Awesome.
on.
Yes, I could talk musicals all day long.
Yeah.
Whether it be horror or mainstream or whatever, I could talk it.
Awesome.
From Chicago to Rocky Horror, yeah, we could do that.
Awesome.
Let's see. Yeah. Oh boy, everybody seems to love musicals, so that's a really cool thing.
The podcast is going to be called Life is a Cabaret, a musical podcast. We just put a trailer up so you can, there's no episodes or anything. We haven't recorded any episodes, but so you can go find it and at least subscribe. So when we do finally get recording, you can be notified.
Yes. Hello, everybody. Boy, we are getting the crowd in today. Don't forget to share us out, boys and girls. The more, the merrier. I will get to the chat the best I can tonight because we are busy today. For sure. Hi, Krabby. How are you? So I guess the big question is how did you two meet?
Oh, can I start?
You start. I will add on. I will add embellishments.
It is a love story of the greatest kind.
Yes.
We met on Instagram.
Nice.
And I had already started the podcast with our original co-host Tori. Hi, Tori. We love her so much, and she guests on the show often. And I saw Jamie's video on Instagram, like an intro get to know me video, and I thought she was just as cute as a button. I loved her so much. I loved her voice. I thought she had a great voice, adorable face, loved how she talked, and obviously loves all the things we do, like eyeball torture scenes and stuff. And so I messaged her and I said, would you be interested on being a guest on the Dolls of Horror? And I sent her an episode. I think I sent you Prom Night to listen to.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you said I would love to. And then you became a guest. And then shortly thereafter, Tori got super, super busy and needed to take time off. And Tori and I both talked about it. I said, what do you think about Jamie for new co-host? And she agreed that it was a great choice, and it's been a beautiful friendship and relationship ever since.
You know, it's something you mentioned there, and it's important too, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
You notice her voice,
Mm-hmm.
you know how she talked,
Mm-hmm.
and it's really important when you do a podcast. I mean,
Absolutely.
it's not just book somebody because you like them. It's you book them because you get them to do it because of the voice, of the demeanor,
personality. It's all about the personality for this one.
It really does. And now that podcasts have moved behind, you know, before podcasts were just almost like bloggers, just electronic bloggers. You know, they're also basically, but now that you're in front of the camera, now you're a little bit performers. You know, you're a little bit out there, and see what you sound like, and you know, it adds to the draw, adds to the pull. Of course, you know, women in horror anyway is a natural pull. I mean, it's a really cool thing to see, and there's not enough of it. It's funny, like I think you see more actresses doing horror sometimes than you think of fans of horror.
Yeah.
I
There's
mean,
a lot you will find. I will say, like, after doing all the horror cons, because I started really going to cons through the dolls, and with summer, you start to like find like an amazing crowd of like girls who are into
Mm-hmm.
horror. Though, like,
Mm-hmm.
we have the most amazing guests who come on who are just ladies who love horror, but always room for more. Always.
do you think that, during the last maybe let's just say since you guys has been fans, do you think that in the last 5, 6, 7 years, more than any time else beforehand, that women have risen up more into like being vocal? Because a lot of women do like horror, but it's something they don't really just walk around and sit there and say. They don't necessarily go up there and say, "I'm a big horror fan," like a guy would. Do you think that now, with the way that the movies are coming out and the volume of the movies that are coming out, do you think it's women are just basically finding their voice now as far as sitting there saying, "Yeah, I like slasher films, so what of it?" Do you get that sense now more than ever?
I'm not sure exactly because I started going to horror conventions in 2017, and the women's scene was really heavy then. I don't know if it was really heavy before then, or if like they just started filtering in, or maybe that's just because I noticed that because that's where you go as a horror fan, so that's where they all gravitated towards. I will tell you that growing up, a lot of my friends did like the scary stuff, so we would all, huddle around in our little sleeping bags on the living room floor and watch our horror movies at 10 and 11 and 12 years old. So a lot of my friends did like it. But as far as the general female population, I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think it was being. I think it's sort of like. I think it was cool maybe to like horror with your friends. You
Hmm.
watch it, but then like you go out in public necessarily, and it's like, you know, it's not so much. Or women were pigeonholed into liking vampire movies more than.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like that seemed like that's it seemed like the vampire movies. That's the one we're gonna get all the girls to come watch because you could interview the vampire, you look Dracula. It's like, but women do they do like the rough stuff too. They do like the gore. Um,
Oh, so many girls love Terrifier. I mean, I'm one of them. And I will say, it's hard to say if like women are kind of like loud and proud about horror more so than they were in the past. I will say though that there's a lot more platforms for women to talk about their love of horror and kind of
Hmm.
connect with other women who love horror. So there's things like Instagram. Me and her just met through Instagram, through having a platform to express our love of
Hmm.
horror and to connect and find each other. And you have more female podcasters. So I think that there's just like inherently more platforms and
Yeah.
ways for female horror fans to connect nowadays.
Yeah, for sure.
uh, oh wow, our chat is flying. Let me say hi to everybody just came in. Oh, there's the bat, our good friend Al Ducard, the bat in the house.
Hi, Al.
Uh,
Hi.
uh, John is here still saying he loves seeing more girls who love horror. I'm with you.
Yeah.
Is that our
Sandra,
John? Is that John Morgan? I'm just
uh,
wondering.
yes, is this John Morgan?
Hey,
Aw. Hey,
John.
John.
John's been our number one supporter since the beginning, might I say.
That's awesome. Has he been
Yeah.
on the show yet?
Yes, he came in way in the beginning for the Collector series, the Collector and the Collection, I think, right?
Right.
But no, he was our first Patreon. I just made a post about him today, actually, and he was the first person to reach out after the podcast had been going for like 3 weeks. So he has been with us since the beginning. So we love John so much.
He's
It
the
is
best.
John Morgan. It is then we have Candles and Creepy Stuff. Hello, how are
Nina,
you?
that's our producer,
Nina.
Nina.
Oh, all right. She's taking up on you. And then Bitcha Chan. Hello, Summer. It's your beloved Carly. Love you guys. Thank you.
Carly.
Yes, thank you
Hi.
guys all for coming out. So I get you. So you started the Dolls of Horror, right, Summer?
Yes.
You were the first one. So what
Yes.
inspired you?
Okay, so I always wanted a platform to talk about horror on, right? I didn't really know what to do. I would talk about it with my friends all the time, but of course my friends are like, okay, enough, right? They're like, I get it. I get it. Candyman is awesome.
You
I get
like
it.
blood and guts. We get it.
We get it. My average friends. And then I found a podcast called It's a Horror Podcast. hosted by my friend Wes and his friend Kevin. And I was listening to it and I said, this sounds really good. So I started asking him, like, how is he doing it, the technicality of recording a podcast. Because they both sounded like they were in the same room, actually. And I was like, wait, you guys are in 2 different states? What? And so he kind of like inspired me, and I loved what he was doing with the show. So he inspired me to want to do it and to realize that it's possible to do it and to do it remotely. And this is pre-COVID, right? So this is
Right.
before remote became very, very, very popular. And he really helped me just figure it out technically. And I said, well, who would I want to start this with? Who else than my bestie, Tori? So I proposed the idea to her. I sent her an episode of It's a Horror Podcast to listen to. I said, how do you feel about starting a podcast? Kind of like this, but not really like this, our own thing. And she loved the idea. And we brainstormed for a good like 4 or 5 months before we even launched, because we wanted to know exactly what we wanted to do. And I listened to a lot of podcasts, and I heard a lot of things I didn't want to do, like a lot of dead air, some awkward silences and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So we thought, well, how are we going to avoid awkward silences? Well, let's have specified segments, lots of them, so that when we're done talking about one, we can just move on to the next one. So we have our favorite kill, next fashion moment, next best hair, next, acting, epic lines, cinematography. So that way you don't have any dead air. So that worked out very well. And it just kind of grew from there. And, we acquired a couple of Patreons, and we just talked about it on social media. I was already going to horror conventions, so we went to a con and dressed up and did some stuff like that. And it just grew from there. So yeah, that's how it started.
And how did you? I know you guys met through Instagram. Were you aware of the show at all, Jamie, before you were approached? Had you known about it at all?
Not really, because I hadn't really delved too deep into podcasts yet. So I had a blogspot blog ages ago called Girl on Gore. And when the pandemic hit, I decided to kind of revive that in a new way on Instagram. And yeah, no, I hadn't really heard of it before. When she reached out to me and I listened, though, I loved it. And I just kind of like, it all came together where I was like, whoa, what? Like, I can like do this, I can record this and like just have fun talking about horror movies, and people are going to listen and like dig that. Okay, sign me up.
And I should say, even if people don't listen, we have so much fun doing it.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Even if no one listened, even if one person listened,
Yeah.
even if it was
It
just
could
my
just be you listening and I'd be fine with it.
yeah, even if it was just my brother that listened, we'd still be doing this just for the funsies of it,
That's
Yeah.
the perfect. That's the attitude I have.
Mhm.
I tell that to everybody. Says, I don't, I don't, I like, I've been doing it for a little over a year now, and sometimes, you dread open, especially this is live, and you dread opening up a show with there's nobody in the chat, right?
Mhm.
Greatest fear is like nobody's here. But the thing is, I was like, you know what? You booked the guest for the guest.
Mhm.
So you get a
Totally.
chance to talk to that person. So
Yeah.
talk to them. Whether
Yeah.
anybody's there or not, it's not like you ever meet somebody at a coffee shop, sit down and like, wow, we are, but no one else is sitting with us. So I guess we
Right.
can't do it, No, you can do it.
For sure.
How do you guys do your show live, or do you guys record?
We pre-record. Mhm.
Pre-record.
Yeah. And then, Nina comes in and she edits some fun stuff in, like some sound bites and stuff. So, like when we do our epic lines, she'll plug in the lines and stuff. She polishes it up when we mess up.
Oh yeah.
She fixes it.
Well,
She does
hopefully not all.
magic.
Now, do you clean it up all the way, or do you leave a couple of fun hiccups in there?
It depends on how big the hiccup is.
Oh, okay.
There are moments when, a call drops for minutes. That's got to go,
The technical issues go.
Yeah. Sometimes I say something really, really incorrect, and I'm like, oh, I got to say that again. It's like I'm going to get crucified if that gets out because that was really wrong. So maybe I might go and re-record a sentence or something, but it's not a perfect show by any means. But we clean it up enough so that sounds more
Yeah,
professional.
but it's good though that it's not crystal clean. It's
Yeah.
I think a pristine podcast is a boring podcast.
Yeah.
I
For
do.
sure.
I like it when like language or whatever. I like it. I'm like I said, I promoted this show after Michael Rosenbaum's, because his format and the way he talks to his guests, and they're salty as hell, and I like it, and I'm down with it. It's not not all the time, of course, it's appropriate, but it is, you get this, when we hear you two talk on the explain your movie, explain your formats and your segments, it feels more organic. It feels more real.
Yeah.
It's not. I do listen to some shows. Oh, holy cow! It looks like they've just been burnished to
Yeah.
shine, and it's like,
Yeah.
wow, you're doing that so much that you're taking the heart of the show out.
Yeah.
And that's
Mhm.
that's not fun.
I think
Um,
the feeling that we're both going for, and correct me if I'm wrong, Jamie, is we want the listeners to feel like they are sitting down and having like a soda with us, and just we want them to feel like this is just a conversation between
Horror friends.
a
Yeah.
horror friends. We want to feel more like a conversation, less like a formulaic thing. Am I right,
yeah.
Jamie?
Totally. And honestly, some of the best parts of the show are when we kind of go off the rails.
We go off the rails too. We go off the rails.
Where we're like,
Yeah.
ooh, where were we? What did we leave off on?
We're like, so epic lines.
Yeah.
Now, were you two both? How old were you both when you first got into horror? And what was the first movie that you watched that actually scared the poo out of you?
I'll let Jamie take off.
So I got started a little bit later in life. As a kid, I kind of watched these gateway horrors. So I watched your Gremlins, your Goosebumps, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Those are the books I read too. At the time, as a kid, I knew I kind of liked it. I just didn't know the full extent of it. I would say the first movie that really scared me as a kid, though, classic, was The Birds. I saw that when I was really young. It was on TV, and that scared the shit out of me. But again, I liked it. I really liked it. So then, as I became a teenager, that's when I really just started running through horror movies. The one that changed it all for me was OG Suspiria. I didn't know movies could look like that. I didn't know horror could look like that. And it kind of like grew from there. I was really studious about it. Like I looked up every single movie, that I wanted to see. And I'd go to the video store and just pick up horror movie after horror movie after horror movie. So it was really when I was a teenager that I blossomed.
That's really great. You mentioned Suspiria. We were just talking about Jennifer. I watched a review Jennifer
Oh, yeah.
from the Masters of Horror,
Mhm.
and we're talking about Argento, and
Yeah,
holy
that's
cow!
a Steven Weber one. That was a really good one.
Yes.
Yeah.
I got to go ahead and go back to the chat real quick
Yeah.
because we got a couple of our fine famous directors are in the house. Jake Jolly,
Ooh.
our director of Clay Zombies, is in the house. Jim
Hey.
Jim Heffernan is also in the house. He's been in a lot of fine films, including one that I love called Destroy All Sisters. Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome. Glad you guys are here. Echo
Hi,
is here.
guys.
Hey.
Yeah, this is really fun. Now you have to
Yeah.
admit, do you hear from your peers? Do you hear people that do podcasts or you've interviewed before? Do you hear from them? Do you get feedback from people like that on your
So,
show?
yeah, I mean, we have some other podcasts that are definitely like friends of the show. And a lot of our guests that we have on are podcasters themselves.
Mhm.
Actually, we felt really nice because we had one of our regular guests on, and I think she was telling us that she used one of our segments.
Christy. By the way, you know her, Christy. That's
Yeah.
Christy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Oh, right.
yeah.
Nightmare
so
Christy. Mhm.
Yes, the
We love
Christy.
Christy.
Yeah, so Christy was telling us she actually used one of the segments. I'm trying to remember if it was fashion or
I think it was
hair.
fashion.
Yeah. And so that was like, oh, so validating. Like that felt
Mhm.
really cool.
Hearts for Christy.
Hearts to Christy if she can find me a Black Phillip Funko doll.
Yes.
That's
Oh my
I
gosh.
keep teasing. I say that's the reason I keep having you on the show is because I want you to find me a Black Phillip Funko Pop. And so far nothing, but we'll get there. We'll get there.
Yeah. If
Uh,
anyone can get it for you, it's her.
it is her. Uh, so yeah, I just wanted to know about that real quick before we get back into the about the early days of horror. Were you also a were you also a big reader of horror? Did you read a lot when you were younger?
Oh, I lived my life in the library, and my Oma, shout out to the grandmas.
We
My
say that all the
grandmother,
time. Shout out to the
all the time.
grandmas.
Shout out to the grandmas. My grandma and I would go to the used bookstores, and I would just devour Goosebumps books in particular, and then later like Christopher Pike and Fear Street and all of that. But I love reading. I definitely had an Edgar Allan Poe phase. I think all girls have one. All spooky girls have one. I
Right.
definitely had an Edgar Allan Poe phase too.
Aren't you sort of amazed when when you look back at that? When you look back at those days, are you a little surprised to see how spicy those books were? They have some punch to it, don't they? They
They
have
do
some
get
punch.
pretty spicy. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then you read it later on and you're like, "Oh, no wonder I liked these books.
yeah.
I
There's
shouldn't
some
have been
stiff.
reading these that young, but I loved them."
I'm
No, no,
surprised
there's
when
some
I look
stiff.
back at the movies I was watching. I go, oh,
Yeah, I know, and you're like,
But the books
"Oh."
though, the books are like
oh.
the books are like, or this is like Goosebumps. I think most people when they hear Goosebumps, they think about a kid's book, or
Mhm.
Fear Street. It's a kid's book. It's a Christopher Pike, maybe tweens. It's like
Hmm.
Yep. Oh
this
yeah.
is what you read before you get into Stephen King. But those books
Yeah.
have some steel in them. They're like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay,
Yeah.
let me turn on the light here.
It's
The
true.
candle's not enough anymore. Let me turn on the light. Um, what about you, Summer? What were some of the what was your intro to horror?
I was 8 years old. I was at my grandma's house. Shout out to the grandmas, like we said. It's all because of her.
To
I
the
around
OG.
yeah. So I exactly. I was around 8 years old. And this was my first love for horror. And she had a bunch of foster kids. I was an only child at the time, and so I spent like all my weekends there. And my favorite foster child of hers was my aunt Deanna, and she stayed there a good long time, probably until she moved out. Um, and We rented Suspiria in the 1990-ish, and I was like, ballet and witches, what? I was like, my life was forever changed. I was from
Yes.
then on obsessed with horror films. I couldn't get enough. The second horror film, I think the second one I saw probably the next weekend, was one called Retribution. Not a great movie. It stars Dennis Liscombe and Suzanne Schneider from Killer Clowns from Outer Space, and it's about a guy who jumps off of a not very tall building and tries to kill himself but doesn't succeed. I think it's like 4 stories. Like, no, that's not going to do it. And then
You
he
have to
starts
hide.
seeing like demons and stuff from the other side. And I loved that one too. I watched that one again as an adult. I said, Suspiria I was on for, but this just doesn't hold up.
Now,
But from then on, I was obsessed.
okay, so we have to talk about now that you guys both have talked about Suspiria.
Yes.
We talked about musicals. Now we got to know what movie we're going to bring up, right? What's the one movie we got to bring up? What's the one thing they have connected?
Argento, musicals, ballet, Suspiria. I don't know.
Oh,
Mm.
Phoenix.
What?
Phoenix. For you, Phoenix. I do it for you. Phantom of the Opera. Phantom of the
Oh,
Paradise.
I was
Phantom of
thinking, okay. Hmm.
well, which
That's right.
version?
Phantom of the
Oh,
Paradise with
okay.
Paul Williams and William
Well,
Finley and
mhm.
Jessica Harper, who went on to do Suspiria. Uh,
Okay.
And who
uh,
went on to do the sequel to Rocky Horror.
Oh
that's
yeah.
right. That's right. So
Sure
I mean,
did.
it all connects, doesn't it? We could do
Yep.
a 6 degrees of Dario Argento right here, right now.
Six
And,
Degrees
and
of
Story of
so
my
Jessica
life.
Harper.
who mentioned the in the eyeball tear? And I'm thinking when I heard that, I'm going like, that'd be Fulci, that'd be like zombie. First thing I think
My
about the eyeball.
That's
It's
my
like,
favorite eyeball moment. Hey, we are on the same page here. That is the eyeball moment that did it for me because So I love my Italian horror movies. Giallos are like my favorite. So I love my Italian maestros, and Fulci is my guy. I mean, Fulci, his stuff is nasty,
Oh,
gory. Oh, I love it. So Fulci's
but
my guy, but Argento
Beyond, the
is
Beyond is,
really, really close.
yeah, the Beyond is like it's still one of that's just still one of the iconic movies ever. I mean, that ending is just like even now it's one of the best. It's gotta be in the top 10 endings of any horror film. It really does.
I so agree. The Beyond is one of my very favorite movies. So it's on my list of favorite movies that I have here. And it is, I love that movie so much.
So now that you guys have met and you guys bonded and you guys did the show together, how long was it before did you guys meet in person before you did the show
Nope.
or after you met the show, after you started the show or
Oh,
joined
long
the
after. About almost a year after.
Yeah.
About what,
Yeah.
11, 10 or 11 months. Mm-hmm.
I think so. Yeah. It was almost a full year.
Yeah.
We hugged hard when we first met. We
And
hugged
cried.
hard.
That's amazing. That's strong chemistry right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
we kind of clicked right away.
Mhm.
So we recorded tons of episodes before we even met,
Oh,
and
yeah.
then we got to meet at a horror con. And so yeah, it was just kind of a beautiful moment. And meeting her in person, we were just as close, even closer now. So
Mhm.
I wish I was there, sitting with her right now.
Me too.
Oh, yeah. When's your first when do you consider convention season to start? April?
What do you think, Summer? You're the more seasoned con goer.
It never ends,
I was gonna
honestly.
say.
Anymore, it
There's
doesn't now.
conventions every month, but for me, we both, when we do conventions, we primarily do Days of the Dead because that's who we work for. That's what the show is for now. So they usually have a lull in between like February and May, February and June.
Yeah.
So kind of around there, like I just did Days of the Dead Vegas, and there's not another Days of the Dead until June. Right. They do have a monsters one, like a Godzilla one, but I'm not going to do that one. But yeah, so they have another like spin-off convention. But yes, as far as the horror goes, so there's like a 3-month break. So maybe I would say like May to February is probably our Days of the Dead season. But you can go to a city on any weekend and find a horror convention.
It does seem like that now, doesn't it? It used
It's
to be
true.
strictly,
Yeah.
yeah, it used to be just strictly summer.
Yeah,
Like summer
there's
Yeah.
there's
till
multiple
maybe,
cities, multiple cons
yeah.
every weekend.
Wild.
We're to go back to the chat real quick. Yeah, Phantom of the Opera is a takeoff of Phantom of the Paradise, Phantom of the Opera. Let's see, Rocky Horror. Hey, Rick's in the house.
Hey.
Hi,
I
Rick.
saw you, Rick. I saw
Hey,
you.
Rick.
I had to make sure it's really him. It's really him. Thank God.
Prove yourself, Rick.
He does.
Prove
He has
it.
to. He's the only guy has to prove himself every time he comes in. There's the password. Cheetah. All right. Let's see. What else. Let's see. Love me some Jessica Harper. Me too. Jessica Harper.
Same.
Yeah, me too. Robert England did a version of Phantom of the Opera.
That's my favorite one.
She's talked about this before.
Let's see.
Yes. Whoever said that, that's my favorite.
That would be John Morgan said that.
John, what up? I didn't know that about you. That's my favorite version. I'm sure he's heard me say that a million times on the show, though.
Our good friend John from Doomsday Crypt is here. He is a convention. He's actually a vendor who goes around cross country. He's got a badass table.
Has he ever done Days of the Dead? We need to go find him if he does.
He has not done Days of the Dead yet, but he has done Spookala.
Oh, I don't do Spookala. I do Spooky Empire. Ocala's a little too difficult to get to.
Yeah, every time we say Spookala around him, we have to drink something. So it's in the.
Oh, I didn't know. Here.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, it's no. Whenever you hear Spookala, you get a drink. That's right. Congratulations, John. You started something here.
Yes. Cheers.
Let's see. Hi, Marie. How are you?
Hi, Marie.
Hey.
Yeah, Rick and his wife, they own a company called Underground Sub Rosa, and they just came back from Days of the Dead. So he's also a vendor as well, but he runs a extreme horror company.
Oh
So if
wow,
you're looking for headless,
Ooh,
he has it.
dude, we
okay. We
dude.
gotta
Next
find
time
you.
you're at Days of the
Yeah.
Dead, come and find us. We're in the panel room all the time. Come find us. We want to know.
Yeah.
Let's see, Hobbs just said he finished an A24 film. It was horrible, called Ex Machina. Hobbs is the
I
man. Hobbs
I
knows how to
haven't seen
make
that
me.
one.
He knows how to make me happy. Thanks, Hobbs.
Aw,
You're the best,
good
buddy.
stuff.
What was the one movie that, like I said, what's the one movie that just I think I already asked you this, but maybe like, what's one movie that maybe you said no to, that you were going like, do you guys each have a limitations to what you'll go to as far as what you watch or discuss on the show?
No,
No, everything's fair game.
I'll give anything a chance. I might not like it, and I'll tell you so, but I'll at least watch it.
So
Same.
so when you do your Human Centipede episode, we're still there.
Okay, Jamie, it's on the list.
All right, put it on the list. Put it
I'm
on.
writing
Wait,
it
you
down.
haven't done the Centipede yet?
Nope.
We
Oh.
haven't. We haven't. Okay, that'd be fun though. So we need to do that.
There's so
I-
many horror films. We've only been doing it 3 years. That's like 180 episodes, maybe. That's not enough.
You guys have done 180 episodes?
Never missed a week. Since
Wow.
November 2019, Dolls of Horror has always released an episode on a movie every week.
Yeah, definitely congratulate yourself. That's impressive.
And bonus
That's impressive.
episodes for our interviews. Those are considered bonus episodes. I don't put that in the tally of episodes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah.
How do you so I mean, all the movies that you've done, you've gone through different categories, like the best kill or the best line or the best actors. But I am curious to see, what is your best kill? What is your favorite kill? And do you get feedback? Do you get feedback from people when they hear you actually talk about something like that? Like, what are you doing talking about best kills? It's so violent. I mean, do they look at you and dare I say this? Do they look at you and say, "But you're girls," or do you sit there and say, "The gorier the better"?
The gorier the better. People expect that from me now. The people in my life who aren't really horror movie people, they'll affectionate tell me sometimes, "Oh, you are a freak." or you need help, and I'm like, I know. But everybody who knows me knows that I love stuff that's really gory. Oh gosh, honestly, I'm thinking like favorite kill. It's so hard to say. I really love the kill in Black Christmas where she gets stabbed to death by the unicorn, the glass unicorn. Not super gory, but I just love the weapon. Love that. And then I love like every special effects moment and kill in The Thing. I love me some practical effects, so it is full of that.
Now, does this have to be a movie that we've covered on the show before, or just in general?
No, just in general.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
you
Go on.
haven't covered it yet.
No, you go ahead. I'm thinking of some more of my favorite kills.
Okay, so this automatically comes to mind when people say great kill. I don't know if it's because I love this actress so very much, but it is Patrika Darbo's kill in Hatchet. Fun fact, it's also Kane Hodder's favorite kill that he's done. He said so before in our interviews, but it's such a beautiful kill, and I love her as a person so much. So that might have something to do with it, but it's an amazing kill. You see her running, he grabs her face, and in one shot around, rips it in half. And there is a cut in there, obviously, but you can't find the cut. It's a perfect shot and a perfect kill, and her tongue's flapping away. Oh, it's so good.
Wow.
It's
Oh my
so
gosh.
good.
Or the Terrifier hacksaw scene is like so lovely because you see everything. You see everything.
I love when the guts come out.
Me too.
So let's, because it was really weird. It's like I love a lot of horror, but there's some movies like, it goes on torture porn, and so I'm like, nah, not really about that. I'm not really into that.
I said, I'll watch anything once.
I gotta tell you, I did not find that Terrifier kill torture porn. I didn't find it. I'm going like, no. I go like, yeah, that's about right. That's about a Friday the 13th type kill. I
thought it was beautiful.
Yeah, it was definitely different.
Yeah.
We want
Definitely different.
we want BFF necklaces where it's the two halves of her, and when
Mhm.
we come together, we can put them together, and then it's a full lady.
We've talked about this before. Yeah, we would love that.
And
Could you imagine going up to David Thornton Howard and bring him the necklaces and doing the super twins
oh,
with it, the
He
Wonder
would
for
Twins?
love it.
sure, he
He
would
would
love
love it.
that.
He would love it. Um, and back to that kill, when we interviewed them, I think it was in Indy,
I think so.
Jamie.
Yeah.
I think Damien told us how he uh, created that kill, and he got it from a real history book. This is how they used to torture and slowly kill people.
Yep.
Mhm.
Was really what they did, and it's like the
Yep.
slowest way to die because of where the blood flows and stuff. The technicalities of it is that's how what people used to do, so that's where he got the idea from, and that makes it even more cool because it was based on fact. This wasn't just, oh, this is never going to happen.
Um, this might offend some people, but I'm just going to tell you how it is because it's history. But the Catholic Church came up with a lot of wonderful ways to torture people. I mean, they really did. I
Yeah.
mean, they were in the business of torturing. If you,
Artiste.
yes,
Artiste of pain and torture.
oh, the Catholic Church just did the whole. They just did the whole. Yeah, whatever. It's like whatever you thought of, we thought of it before.
Yeah.
That sort of deal. Yeah, that was because people were talking about that kill and going like, oh my god, like people run out of the theater, running, being sick and whatnot, and it's like that's torture porn. I'm like, no, I can tell you that's really not.
I think I would consider the kill he did in part 2 more so.
I haven't seen part 2 yet.
Oh, okay. Then I'm not going to
Oh.
spoil it, but you'll know what I'm
Mhm.
talking about when
You'll
you
know
see
when
it.
you see it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And dude, you got to watch it. It's a masterpiece. It's so good.
And I have to
Uh,
say, I saw it in my hometown theater. That was my second job I ever had as a teenager. Small-ish town, so I was really delighted they had that. And I will say, there was the cutest, shout out to the grandmas. There was the cutest grandma sitting in front. I thought for sure they were going to walk out of this movie because there's scenes that are happening. And when I passed them when I left the movie, and they were like, "Do you think this means they're going to make Terrifier 3 soon?" And I'm like, I love these ladies. Why
see,
didn't I follow them and be like, I need to know your story. You need to come on the podcast. So all ages like this one.
And Jamie texted me after that moment, and she goes like, "This is us when we're older."
Yes.
yeah, yeah.
Yes. I loved it.
I could definitely see that. I think the idea for the necklace is a big hit. That would actually be really cool to do.
We talked about it on the show when we did the episode. We really want these to happen.
So if
Yeah.
any of you know anybody,
Any
that has the
artists?
hookup,
Actually, I do know some jewelry makers. I can put you in touch with at least one.
Yeah, we would love to commission this from somebody that can do it.
Wow. And we would wear them everywhere.
We
So and
would.
everyone would want them. Who
I
doesn't
just
want
want
that?
I just want to see you do in front of him though, or
Oh,
Damien. Just like come up there and say Wonder Twin powers activate, and put the
Yeah.
two brutes together with the body. That would just not be
make
right.
this happen.
Yes, we really do want to make this happen. So if anyone out there can make this piece, we would love to commission you.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Mhm.
this manifest thing, so I'm trying to manifest these necklaces into existence tonight.
Yep.
So
We've been talking about it for
anybody out
a year and a half. We've been talking about wanting these necklaces. Somebody's
Well-
got to do it.
Now, when you do the 180 episodes, do you guys just? How long are your episodes? How long are your episodes? Are they an hour, hour and a half?
Depends.
Depends.
And
We've gone off the rails a couple times.
Do you cover just one movie per episode, or do you do like wow, so 180 movies. Wow.
Yeah,
Have you guys
probably
done-
over
have you-
180. I can't look at it right now, but I think we're at maybe 186 right now.
Aww.
And we have a couple in the can too. So
So
yeah.
it's time for me to break out my big question here, and people in the chat are going to go like, "Oh, of course he did this." So, what are your 3 favorite IFC midnight movies?
I am going to lose my horror card. I have no idea what that means.
Me too.
Help.
What's your 3 A24 films?
Again, Help.
Midsummer I
Oh,
really
okay.
liked because I like folk horror a lot. So I did like some elements of that. Other than that, I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of A24.
Same.
Okay, so they mentioned one A24.
Slashers is really, at least for me, my joy in life.
Slashers and supernatural and giallos. I really love giallos are my favorite. I really like horror comedies too.
Horror comedies can be done. I just wanted to know what the because I know a lot of a lot of our community they like like you just know when you see a certain company put out a movie, you're pretty much gonna get something really good. You know, what do you look for when you go out there and buy a movie? Or do you buy? Do you blind buy? Do you ever do blind buys, or do you research everything that you do before you buy it?
You do a lot of blind buys, right, Summer?
I used to. Back when video stores were a thing, Blockbuster especially would have sales on their used DVDs, buy two, get three free. So I would buy two that I knew I liked, but I normally couldn't find 5 movies that I knew I liked. So I would just pick other movies in the horror genre. And I've found some gems and I found some ones I didn't like so much, but I can't bear to get rid of them. I can't
Oh,
throw
isn't
them
that the
away.
truth? Isn't that the truth? Yeah, even if it's a movie you guys hate and you come out there
Yeah.
going, this movie's coaster material, but good Lord, if you don't put it back in the case and then go back inside the box, it might never get seen
Exactly.
again, but
Yeah.
it's still there. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we need something.
Exactly.
We need a subject for the show. What can we do?
Yeah.
I got just the
I
idea.
got the movie on the shelf.
We did
Yeah.
that before. We did that with recently. What was it, Jamie? The trilogy, tetralogy.
Tetralogy.
No, not
Basket
deep. Not
Case?
no, not Deep Red. The other Argento.
Suspiria. We did like the
Yeah. The last one. This is a segment that we also do. What the hell is it we're talking
Mother
about?
of Tears. Mother of Tears.
Yes, that was one of those situations. I own this DVD. I have no idea how I own this DVD. I hate this movie. But I own it and I will always own it because I can't bear to get rid of it. And there is a sticker on the front from Blockbuster. So I figure it must have been one of those blind buy situations, and I have so many movies like that. And again, some I loved, some it was a pleasant surprise, and some I was okay on, and some I just really, really hated. And yeah, so I used to do that a lot. Now I don't really do that so much. Normally, if I'm buying a movie, especially a physical copy, I need to know that I'm going to like it if it's going to take up space in my shelf.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the thing. And sometimes we find ourselves, especially now these days with so much media at our disposal.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to find the room to be able to put up, because you see people's collections. They have whole rooms dedicated to it. Or basements. They have a whole basements, and it's just wall to wall movies, and you go sitting and go like, so how do you pick what you watch? Because that was the part about going to the video store was
Yes.
How long like you'd be there for an hour, like, and your friend or your mom or whoever was picking you up, it'd be like, are you done yet? Are you done yet? Are you done?
That's actually how I originally met, way back like 20 years ago, our artist who designs these amazing logos and shirts that we have, Clark. He worked at the local Hollywood Video, and so Friday night go and rent a movie. So that's how we met originally, and then we reconnected. Yeah,
Make
and then
friends with the video store person. That's the smart thing to do.
That is the smart thing to do.
Yes. No kidding. Now that is actually true. That's the same thing with me. I had a video store. We had a video store out here. I think Summer might remember. You're in Chicago, right, Summer?
Yeah, but I didn't grow up here. I grew up in California.
Oh, okay. Do you remember a chain called Family Video?
No, we didn't have those.
Oh, okay. So we did, and that was absolutely the case. It's like, but they would have such high turnover rate that you couldn't get any traction with them.
And you're like, I just got this guy, and now he's gone.
Yeah.
Clark was there for a while, so
because I go in there once a week. I go there once a week, And every single time I walked in, I'm not even kidding you. Every time I walked in, there was somebody new. I walk in there, go like, okay, and then you sit there like, and then when you leave, when made the purchase, say, well, it's nice meeting you. Good luck with whatever you do next. And then they're like, well, what's that mean? It's just, well, because you won't be here next week. Um, I
Oh,
finally
man.
got when you finally do get a clerk like that, you want to hold on to him with both hands and both
Yeah.
feet.
Don't
Um,
ever let them go.
Clearly, I did.
We got him.
We got it, man.
so where were you approached to do conventions? I mean, 180 episodes. How many episodes were you in before people started noticing you and started making inroads to you as far as working with you, partnering with you?
Well, it was a very interesting sequence of events, and part of it's probably luck, and part of it is just being nice. I say this all the time. We're pro kindness, even though we like, decapitations. And it was during COVID. It was July 2020, and Bill, the owner of Days of the Dead, decided to go ahead with Days of the Dead Indie and do it masked, sanitizer stations every, oh God, it felt like every like 10 feet there was one. And he was getting a lot of hate online, in person, threats. I mean, really unnecessary things. If you don't agree with a convention, then don't go to a convention. That's my thoughts on it. But yeah, he was getting a lot of like, and he was having a bad weekend, and it was a very slow convention. There were a lot of celebs canceled, obviously, and not a lot of people showed up. So there we were able to actually social distance fairly easily. It wasn't like elbow to elbow like it is now and before. So it was done very safely. No one got COVID. And Tori and I walked up to him at the convention and we said, are you the one running this convention? And he's like, depends what you want. He's just like, fuck, another one. Yeah. And I was just like, well, I just really want to thank you for doing this, because March, April, May, June, 5 months we had been semi-quarantining, not able to do things we love. No restaurants, no movie theaters, no plays, no conventions, no nothing. A lot of people lost their jobs. I had to work from home, so 5 months of really weird times. Thank you for having this convention where we can all feel somewhat normal again, like we used to. And he's like, oh, thank God, and, we said a few words and said goodbye, and then became Facebook friends. And then 2 weeks later, I was supposed to do another convention that was canceled. And so I already had the time off work. And that just happened to be the same weekend that Christy Adams was having her grand opening at Nightmare Toys. And Bill just happened to live in Vegas at the time. They kind of shared a toy store. They had a little bit of a co-business going on at the time. And Bill was there, and we had some conversations there. And that's where he told me that no one got COVID. He's like, thank God no one got COVID. Because it was a really risky move having that convention. And 2 weeks, 1 week, 2 weeks after that, he called me up and it's like, I got a proposition for you. How would you like to be the official podcast of Days of the Dead? And I'm like, well, it depends. What does that mean for my show? You going to take my show away from me? Because this is my show. I bought the copyright to this show. This is my show. You're not going to take it away. Do you get creative control? That's what I was worried about. I'm going to lose my creative control over this, right? Mm-hmm. This was before Jamie came in. Right before, like she was right on the cusp of this. Before. Like, yep. She came in right when this happened. He's like, no, the show stays the same. You'll just come to conventions, host panels, stuff like that. He says stuff like that like it's no big deal. And no. I'm like, what? He literally said it. He's like, oh, stuff like that, no big deal. I'm like, okay, sure, yes. And I think, Jamie, were you already on board, or were you almost on board at the time?
I think I had just started. I hadn't been on too long.
I think it was just a day or 2 or 3 in. I don't think we even recorded an episode.
I think we'd already recorded an episode, but probably just like one.
Yeah, because we did you came in as a guest, and then just a few weeks later, we got you on as a regular. But yeah, so I'm like, Jamie, what do you think?
It's
She's like,
what does that mean? Yes, okay.
yes, yes. So yeah, that's how it happened. And I mean, I always say, like, if I hadn't have been nice in a moment when he was getting so much hate,
Right.
and if I hadn't have gone to that grand opening to help my girl Christy out, maybe he wouldn't have even thought of me and thought of us. But he said he listened to the show and he heard that we could speak and speak well. And he didn't even hear an episode with Jamie on. He heard one of the episodes with Tori on, and that was it, man. So just a sequence of luck, events, and being nice is how I
Yeah,
credit us
being
getting
nice is
this.
good. Isn't it something else? I want
Being
to.
nice gets you a long way in this world.
It does. I want to say hi to Clark Striker 87.
That's our
Welcome to the
artist,
show.
Boo. That's the guy.
Hey.
That's my video store, Boo.
Just to let you guys know too, since there are a lot of new people in the chat, I want to say this that please feel free to subscribe to my channel. I do this show
Yes.
3 times a week live, and we have all sorts of wonderful guests on the show. So if you're new and you feel so inclined, give us a sub, hit the notification bell. We appreciate it so much. Yeah, I like the idea that you guys got picked up for a sponsorship,
Yeah.
and good heads up for that too, because I mean, I guess that would happen. I guess that could happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know now because I think podcasts now. Do you feel like this too? Do you feel like it's just way too many of them? I mean, it seems like everybody's had a podcast.
No more than it was when I started, because like I said, I was devouring all podcasts. I just listened to so many podcasts. Even Christy had one at the time, a different one than she has now. So I was listening to so many podcasts, like I said, to try to learn what I liked and what sounds good and what I don't like and what doesn't sound good. So many, couldn't even listen to them all.
Yeah.
And that was just in the horror genre. There's so many podcasts on all these different topics.
Yeah.
It's
It's
almost like
overwhelming in a good way sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Where I'm so glad that like there's so many options out there and people have like that platform. But sometimes I'm like, oh gosh, which one do I choose? Because there's so many good ones.
the problem, and do you have this problem too? Like when you guys sit down in your pre-production, I mean, because you really want to stay relevant, and you want to stay. V's got a question. Hold on to my question. V has a question, and she says, "What is the most expensive toy or memorabilia that you've each have bought?"
Oh, see me, I think you actually probably got me my biggest one summer, which was my Nightmare on Elm Street phone. Huh?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, the autograph put that way up on the price.
Yeah. So I think that's actually the most expensive thing I have, but that was from summer. Just like I spend most of my horror movie merchandise money on clothes. So cumulatively, probably a pretty good amount. We're talking like $30 to $80, depending on if it's like a dress. I've spent over $100 on horror movie dresses.
Got that
before.
kick-ass Nightmare on Elm Street dress.
That was like 80. So yeah, I think cumulatively, it's probably my collection, my always growing collection of horror movie t-shirts, tank tops, and dresses, and skirts too.
Yeah.
And skirts. Can't forget the skirts.
She has the Dolls of Horror mini skirts. Very hot.
I do.
Wow. All right. What about you, Summer? What's the most expensive thing that you bought?
One single item, probably the Trick or Treat Good Guy doll when it was a Kickstarter campaign. That was $500. Now they're more expensive, and now that was the first one they did. And the Kickstarter came out in 2018. I got the doll in 2019. So I actually bought two. I bought one for me, and I bought one to put away and sell later.
Okay.
And they've gotten so many more dolls since then, which is really cool. I've got to get that Glenn doll. So I got to have him. That's my bucket list. But so probably my Good Guy doll, and that was like a dream moment. Like my whole life, I wanted a good guy doll, the nice one, not the scarred one, not the angry one. I wanted the nice one from part 1 or part 2. So that was kind of a big deal. I told my husband that I wanted to be buried with it. He thought I was joking. I am so dead serious.
Not.
I want an open casket. I want him peeking out over the side.
Mhm.
Bonus points if Jamie or anybody can get like a voice box and then like set it off throughout the ceremony every now and
Oh
then.
yeah. Oh
And
yeah.
have
I
Chucky
got
say
you.
something.
Heidi
Yeah.
ho or
Yeah.
something like that. So that's probably my most expensive item, but I have a lot of really great pieces. I'm a collector of replicas and dolls. I have most of the Puppet Master replicas, full-sized replicas. I'm missing a couple still, but yeah, those were a pretty penny too. Those are probably around 300 or more each.
Are you guys big franchise fans?
Some of them, yeah. I mean, let's see. I love the Nightmare franchise. I'm a pretty big Friday franchise fan. Trying to think.
For me, it was like the 80s franchises, I think, are the ones that we're huge fans of.
Hatchet, though. Hatchet is a
Yeah.
newer one.
And I like
That's
all
one
four of
pretty.
those, all 4 of them.
So,
Yeah.
like we're gonna talk a little bit about Scream. So, what do you think about that franchise? Do you think it's? I look at it two ways. One, I sort of see it like they're doing what they did with Star Wars, right? They basically are, you've seen all the movies. It seems like they're repeating themselves. You know, the first 3 movies, they turn around and now they're doing the same. They're doing it again. You know, let's do this. Let's do the first 3 or the first 4, I guess, and then turn around and let's redo it again. Do you think that is, uh, uh, as far as writing goes, or presentation, or or regeneration, so to speak? Do you find that appealing as a fan? And what do your listeners think? What do your listeners give you feedback on? Are they big fans? Do they complain about it?
Well, I'll tell you. So with Scream specifically, I've not seen the new one yet. I really want to. I will say, not a huge fan of the one that came before that. I figured out the killers kind of quick. And I just
Same.
wasn't too into it. I will say, I am kind of on the side where I'm like, let's bring in some new stuff. Like, I'm not super into rehashing the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah.
I think that no, I'm not saying I don't like the new Scream movie. I haven't seen it yet, so I can't say it. And it looks really fun. I like me a slasher in the city. That's cool. But I'm kind of in the camp where it's like there's so many things we haven't even begun to touch or cover, or create or imagine in horror. So I'm really into like bringing in brand new characters, starting whole new movies. I think some of these classics, had a really good run, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'm kind of
I'm with
kind of
you.
more on the camp.
I'm with you. I mean, I'm
Mhm.
just, and what I think is really sort of funny is how they've gotten away with it. It's like, Star Wars fans didn't let the Star Wars fans didn't let them get away with it. You know, they, they yes, they went and saw the movie, but boy, when they came out, they just, it's almost like you wish they hadn't made the movie because they just absolutely just hated it so much.
Yeah.
And the fact of the matter is they just did the first movie all over again, the first 3 all over again, and the fans knew about it, and they were going like, "Yeah, we caught you slipping. Why are you regurgitating? Why are you remaking the first 3? We've already seen those." And I think that Scream was doing the same thing, and I'm just wondering, like, is this something that we're going to be seeing from now on? Now that Scream has made all its money, it's like, are we going to be seeing them? Like, you look at the new Jason movie, going to be new series coming out. Are they going to
Yeah.
come up with something fresh? Or are they going to come back and regurgitate what we've already seen?
Yeah.
Like, well, maybe somebody else hasn't seen it, so it'll be new to them.
Right.
But at the same time, you're appealing to the older fans, the fans who have been around for
Right.
the franchise for all this time. So how does that balance out? What kind of feedback do you get in general about horror today, from your listeners? Are they happy with what's out there? Are they unhappy? What's share us a little bit about what your listeners, about how they present their opinions to you.
I will say this about Scream. The new Scream is a lot of our listeners, and even the just our friends on social media loved it. Like
Yep.
loved it.
I
John
know tons of
Morgan
people who loved it. Yeah,
John
I haven't
Morgan
seen it yet.
texted me right away and he's like, "This is fucking fantastic." And and um I think only one or two, possibly three people on my whole social media feed said it was a piece of crap. That's of everyone, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a 0.00001% said they hated it. Um, I think a lot of our listeners, though, they're kind of like us, and they love the 80s and 90s movies. Um, and
70s too.
yeah, 70s, and they like the newer movies when they feel like the 80s, like Terrifier, like Hatchet.
Hmm.
They like the movies with the practical effects in them. So a lot of our listeners, they won't mind a new movie as long as it has a feeling of an old movie.
And I think you touched on a really important part too is the practical effects
Uh-huh.
because we're big practical effects nerds. Like
Yeah.
that's why I love horror really is like one of the main reasons I love it is the art of it.
Mhm.
I love the special effects, like practical effects. It's beautiful and amazing and we have a prop section and a lot of the times I just pick the guts. Like I'm like
Yes.
I just want the intestines from this movie because they are gorgeous.
Yes.
So as long as a new movie has good practical effects in there, I mean, even if it is like, a new edition of
Mm-hmm.
a franchise, if it's got good effects, at least like we can at
Mm-hmm.
least enjoy the effects, even if we're not huge on the movie. If there's good effects, like okay.
Jamie, can I just say this about the new Scream? Your eyeball fetish is gonna be satisfied.
All right. I mean, that sounds pretty good. If there's some eyeballs in there, like count me in.
You are going to be so
Okay. All right.
happy. I went and I
Um,
saw it twice, by the way, the new one.
Oh, I do
um,
want to see it. I do want to see it.
I,
And
I will
typically, I
say this.
see these movies in the
I
theater.
do think they get I think one of the reasons why too they did catch lightning in a bottle there with Jenna Ortega, between the Scream
Yeah.
5 and Scream 6. She just,
And it's Wednesday,
completely
yeah.
blew up. Yeah,
Yeah.
completely blew up. Um
Yeah.
uh
Horror Girl. She was an X too, which I really
yeah.
liked. Yeah.
Did you like did I thought X was all right. I didn't find I found everybody like overwhelmingly
Excuse me. Sorry.
everybody was all over it, and I just thought that was just it was a good serviceable movie. I was
I liked
more
it.
I was more impressed, honestly. I was actually more impressed with the casting. The casting was going against type was really what caught me more than anything else. It's like, watching Brittany Snow.
I know.
I mean, seriously, everybody talks about Jenna Ortega in that movie, and we're like, Jenna Ortega was really not that important, but Brittany
No.
Snow in that movie, that was a daring role. It was a daring role because she went against everything she's ever done before.
So I
I
have
thought that
not
was
No.
seen X or Pearl yet, but
Okay.
I love me some Brittany Snow. Ever
me too.
I
since
know you
she
do.
ever since she did American Dreams with our
Yeah.
man Peter Spellos.
And it is
Um
not she is not American Dreams in this one.
no.
A
So
Oh,
different kind
I
of
and she,
American Dreams.
didn't she also do the
That
remake of
kind.
Prom Night too?
I think she was in one of these remakes. I can't remember which
yeah.
one, but
She's not new to horror.
Right.
yeah.
She did a really great one that I found, and it was called Hangman with Al
I haven't
Pacino and
seen
Carl
that.
Urban.
Me neither.
That's a
Oh.
great movie. That'll have you on your edge.
Writing it
Okay.
down.
Yeah, really, really strong.
I'll write that down
But
too.
she's not new to horror. But her persona that she plays in has always been a certain type,
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
then with X, it was like they turned that right upside down.
They did.
Um,
She killed it too. She did good in that role.
he was really good. Have you guys? What actors have you been impressed with? You guys talked about your favorite actors in horror. What are some of the actors that you have been impressed with that you look forward to seeing them in a project?
Well, David from Terrifier for sure. Like
Oh
his
yeah.
physicality is really, really fun to see on screen. And then, he did the Mean One too, which was really fun too. So his physicality is really fun to me. I like physical actors like Doug Jones, who
Mhm.
can bring out all that emotion and character by their bodies. So really like him. I mean, Jenna too. I like her too because she's like really emerged as a horror girl. So I'm just like interested to see what movies she chooses next. So those are some two like current like new people that I love seeing them.
Current for
Uh,
me, I don't even know about current. I'm just thinking way back, like
Mhm.
well, I mean, I'm looking at my list of favorite
D Wallace.
D Wallace, we call her Mama D on the
Hmm.
show. We love us some Mama D. Um, I mean, we have to talk about the greatness that is Jamie Lee Curtis, who
Hmm.
just finally won an Oscar and gave a shout out to the horror fans.
I'll be honest
Hello.
with you. I'll be honest with you. I have a big problem with her winning that.
I didn't
I don't think she won it so much. She bought it.
I haven't seen her movie, or honestly, I haven't seen any of the other movies, but I think that she should have won way sooner for other
Yeah,
things. So maybe
yeah.
this was one of those it's about time awards.
It might have been, but they picked a really poor time to do it.
Yeah,
They
I haven't
really
seen the movie.
There's some
So
really good performances, including by that's really something too. Awards show. Do you guys talk about award shows, or is that something that doesn't really cross your path too often?
not really.
Honestly, because I
I have a
feel like
feeling.
horror often gets shafted when it comes to award shows.
Yeah.
I don't really watch award shows too often. Now there were some good ones. There were some good ones, that were represented, but I don't really watch them too often.
Yeah. I don't, it's just slowly, I mean, I don't know, as I've gotten older or what have you, and I figure out how the game is played because, yes, I'm going to talk about this one again too, boys and girls, because they hear me talk about certain things over and over. But a couple of years ago during the pandemic, when the pandemic hit, there was no movies being released at all during
Yeah.
that summer.
Yeah.
Well, IFC did. IFC
Mhm.
released three films that were basically here the summer. The Relic, The Wretched, and a movie called Swallow. All three movies came out and did really, really well.
Hmm.
And then when it was time for the awards, they are all forgotten.
Yeah.
All the movies that carried the summer that were
Mhm.
all the critical acclaim during the summer. All of a sudden, I think once the big studios got back into motion, next thing you know, here's Francis McDormand winning for Nomadland, and no one cared. No one. It
Yeah.
was overlooked, and it was like, okay. And then this year, Danielle Detweiler from Till, should have been her spot. Angela Bassett with her role in Wakanda, that was hers. But all of a sudden, this very last minute with Jamie Lee Curtis, and I've seen everything everywhere all at once. She was cute in that movie, but there's no way in hell that she deserved an Oscar for it. There's no way. I mean, I could think of 30 performances that were better last year than hers, and it was just like one of those things where they basically buy the awards, and it just takes the joy out of. Sometimes it takes joy out of movie watching, because you
Mhm.
want to see someone get get a recognition for what they do, and then you don't, and then you see that, and then you get really disillusioned. Um, but I'm with you. I don't know why horror gets overlooked. I mean, the money's there. I mean, studios can't make enough horror movies. They can't. They're more than happy to take everybody's money, but when it comes down to actually going back there and rewarding the people who've done that,
Yeah.
again, it's like they don't get any reward out of it. It's like, well, yeah,
Hmm.
we did a horror movie. You think anybody from Scream Six will get it nominated for an Oscar next year for it?
No.
No.
No, no. But it'll be in the top 15, top 10 movie
Right.
makers of the year. Yeah, isn't that
Yeah.
something?
Yeah.
Um.
Right.
So, what are some of the movies that you didn't like? That's
Didn't
always
like.
a fun topic. That's a fun topic. I mean, what's some of the movies you just or thought were overrated?
Um,
I mean, well, we're talking about franchises. I know I'm not alone in this one, but the last Halloween movie, not a
I
fan.
hated it.
I hated it. And you know what? Honestly, I knew I was going to. I had a feeling, and not just a feeling. I knew. But I was like, I'm going to watch it, give it a chance. But no, hated it. Hated it for so many reasons. I know some people who really liked it, and to each their own, but it was not for me.
Uh, how about you, Summer? Did you were you a big fan of Halloween Ends too, or no?
No. No, I will say this. Jamie wasn't crazy about the two that came before it, and
I wasn't.
I thoroughly enjoyed them for what they were. They weren't my favorite in the franchise at all, not even close. But I enjoyed it. I'm not sorry. I went to the theater for those. I had a good time. Halloween Ends. I was the only one in the theater. Literally, I was the only one in the theater.
Oh, so you
And
didn't even have anybody to do like buddy system with you and like throw popcorn or anything?
I went with Henry, but
Oh,
I mean, strangers. We were the only ones there. So, yeah, we were the only ones there.
I've been in there before. I've gone to theaters like hyped up for a movie. Walked in, there's like, well, at least they had one person hyped up for it, and there's nobody there.
Yeah, and it was really funny because it was my little neighborhood local theater, and for the month of October, they were doing like a classic horror movie. Hurts my soul to say that about these movies. A classic horror movie during the weekend, like their late show, right? So for 3 days they showed Nightmare on Elm Street one weekend. For 3 days they showed Candyman one weekend. Went to that. And then for 3 days they showed Halloween the original, and I went to that. And when I went to go buy my ticket, it was after I'd seen Halloween Ends, and Halloween Ends had been out for like a week. I went to go buy my ticket for the Halloween 78, and it didn't say anything that said anything about it being the original one. And so I went back because I bought it like 2 days in advance. I went back and I said, I just want to make sure this is not for Halloween Ends.
You're
That
like, I
this
don't
is
want to
for
watch
the
that
old
again.
one. I said that too. I said that I want to make sure this is for the old one because the time was different than what I remembered it being on the marquee. So I want to make sure they didn't give me the wrong ticket. And I said, because I don't want to see that movie again, ever.
You're like, this better not be a trick, okay? I am not watching that movie again.
And then he told me, he said, no, we changed the time, and this is the original. We're not showing that one next week. They pulled it. They
Wow!
said no one liked it. They pulled it early.
Whoa!
I know. So that's how badly it did in my neighborhood, at least. So yeah, wasn't a Halloween Ends fan. I think it was probably the worst one in the entire franchise. That's including the Rob Zombie ones.
Wow!
That's including part 8. And before this, part 8 was my least favorite one. And yeah, this one trumped it.
It's a pretty bad one.
Do you guys do that? I mean, this walk through. I want to know one thing too. So do you guys do your pre-production show? You know, when you guys do how do you guys come up with the topics that you talk about? I want to see how okay, Halloween Ends. Let's talk about Halloween Ends. So how did you guys decide to pick that movie? Did you pick that movie because it was coming out? And then how do you prepare for a movie that is that bad and talk about it without? I mean, do you pull your punches, or do you?
We haven't covered that one yet.
We haven't covered
Halloween Ends.
No,
we haven't covered it yet, but we should. So I will say, even the movies that we dislike, we still respect, the process of the people who made it and everything. So I'm like, hey, you made your art, like that's cool. But there have been a few episodes where we talk about a movie that neither of us liked at all. We do find the things that we do like out of it because that's our job with our little categories. So sometimes we're like, okay, I gotta find a prop. I need something. So I guess I like that. We actually had one where it was, what was it, Thanksgiving?
Oh.
Okay,
Yeah.
so we both almost, okay, but listeners, we did not do it, okay? We
So
just thought about
tempted.
it. We actually both had the same idea to kind of phone it in on an episode because I got through like half of that movie and I was like, I have enough here. I could budget. I can pretend that I saw the whole thing. I don't think she'd know.
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving 3.
What was it?
Thanksgiving 3.
Oh,
Thanksgiving 1 was a fun ride. We enjoyed it thoroughly.
It was really fun. Yeah, but Thanksgiving 3 was a little hard to get through. We did, but we actually both had the conversation where we're like, I almost just kind of like made up the end of this because I almost couldn't do it.
I 40 minutes in, I was like, how much longer? I'm like, an hour?
But we
No.
did it. We did it.
An hour? Are you fucking kidding me? An hour.
No.
But we both
No.
got through it, and we don't talk about our opinions on the movies until showtime, until it's live. We keep
Yep.
it to ourselves. We don't talk about it. We know what movie we're going to talk about, and we have our same set of topics every episode. This does not change. So, but we keep it fresh. So when you guys are listening to it, we don't know what each other's going to say. We don't know what our epic lines are. We don't know what each other's favorite kills are. We don't know about the props. There have been a couple of times where the prop I would like to own segment was so obscure. I sent her a picture because I didn't think she would know what I was talking about.
Or haircuts. We've done that with haircuts too, where I'm like, she's on screen for like 5 seconds.
Yes. Yes. So sometimes we will send a picture if it's so obscure it wasn't that memorable except to us, to the person talking about it. But we don't share what our picks are until it's live and it's being recorded. We don't talk about it at all. As far as picking the movies go, there's so many movies to choose from, and how many weeks are in a year? We only have that many episodes per year. It's hard sometimes, but our list is so long. Sometimes we will be like, well, what movie are we recording this week? And I don't know. She's like, what's on the list? I'm like, how about Ginger Snaps? And she's like, cool. So that's what we're going to be recording in a few days. And that's just how that happened. How about Ginger Snaps? Okay. And then we have our series, like we're doing the Halloweens in order. We just did part 5 last year. So part 6 is next. And
Leprechaun. We just did Leprechaun 4.
Oh, that was a rough one.
Yeah, that was
too.
a rough one.
Do you let your listeners pick your topics for you?
No, we've had the same kind of topics since the inception of the show. We've added a few. Best hair came in when we recorded with Billy Worley for a movie that he did. We recorded with him on a movie that he did. This was in the Tory days. He was in the 1995 remake of Piranha. And I sent Billy this link, and he better be watching, damn it. He probably got bored by now and tuned out. But he hears me talk all the time. He's like, I don't need to hear this broad anymore. But no,
he's up on the chat because I do think he walked in, and I think I might have let it slip. But I will say that V has mentioned. I want to say hi to Sarah came in, and Eden came in, and V says that Jamie has the most pinchable cheeks. She just wanted to say that.
They are pinchable.
Yep. Let's see. I want to go down here. I thought I saw him come in. I want to acknowledge that. I just let the chat go crazy. Why not start a horror awards show as a special on the podcast? That would be interesting.
That would be fun. That'd be fun. I like the Chainsaw Awards. That's on.
Yeah.
I think it's on Shudder. Is that where they put that, or Fangoria?
Yeah.
I don't remember who does it.
It was Fangoria, but I'm not sure where it airs because Fangoria doesn't have their own channel.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
No,
I don't think who created that.
Fangoria
Fangoria created that, but I'm not sure if they control it anymore.
Right.
See. Mia got the Candles and Creepy. What's your friend's name?
Nina.
Nina says
shout out to Nina.
Mia Goth deserved an Oscar nod for Pearl. I have to see that, but I heard that same thing.
Oh, her acting is phenomenal. She has this monologue. You know what I'm talking about, Nina. That monologue is so good. And I love her too. Another girl who's like, I'm a horror girl. And I'm like, yeah, you are. Yeah.
Rob, our friend Rob, Vintage Video, wants to know what your favorite non-horror movies are.
Non-horror movies? Oh, 100% the Spinal Tap. So Christopher Guest is my guy. Spinal Tap, Waiting for Guffman, Best in Show. Love all of those. I love to laugh. I also love Detroit Rock City, another rock comedy, I guess. Drop Dead Gorgeous. teen beauty pageant in Minnesota. It's another mockumentary. So I guess mockumentaries and comedies, really like those.
Yeah, those are good. How about you, Summer? What's your favorite non-horror movie?
Campus Man, 80s comedy. I sent it to Jamie. I love it so much.
It's too far away for me to grab the DVD right now, but I have it. She sent it to me. I
It's
did not ask for it, but it was amazing, and she
yeah.
was right.
And it's an Arizona movie, though it's not Tucson, it's Phoenix. It's an Arizona movie, so I thought that was cool too. But it's been one of my favorite comedies for forever. Another one of my favorite comedies I've talked about, Happy Together with Patrick Dempsey and Helen Slater. Love that movie so much. Rocky Horror Picture Show, both the movie and the stage show is like my tops. I love comedies. I love rom-coms. I like suspense.
Yep.
That is kind of borderline horror sometimes on the thriller side, but I love musicals, and I don't necessarily love the movie versions of a musical, but over the past 35 years, they have made official recordings of the stage show. Like William Catt did one for Pippin, and that was in the 80s. That's one of my favorite movies. It's not a movie, but it's a movie. They recorded Jekyll and Hyde when David Hasselhoff was in it, and he was phenomenal in that role, and that was a really, really good one. So I really love musicals, but I love watching the video stage version of the musical, not necessarily the movie itself. Rocky Horror is probably the only movie version of a musical that I love just as much, if not more, than the stage version.
We caught up to the chat. I will say your friend Billy is here, and he says
Hearts to
sorry.
Billy.
He says sorry if you didn't see Jamie Lee Curtis' performance and everything. I just didn't see it. She was unbelievable. Definitely not a makeup Oscar. Try to pull that role off. Two sides. Two sides. I don't know what that means.
I'm definitely going to have to watch it.
Yeah, I
I've been
watched
meaning to see
it.
it. I've heard it was great.
No, the movie was fine. You know, it's a fun movie, definitely. I mean, Michelle Yeoh definitely deserved it and whatnot. But I just did not see Jamie Lee Curtis deserving of it. I just, it's not, just that was just me.
I'm going to hold my opinion until I watch it.
Yeah, okay, you'll have to come back. We'll have to talk about it.
Yeah.
Let's fight.
Yeah. Have you guys ever has that ever happened?
Between the two of us?
When you guys are talking about a movie, have you guys ever tangled over a movie, like one really championed it and one didn't?
Yeah.
Oh, we've definitely had movies where we disagreed totally. No, we were cool about it, but I was what did you say about that? And then she's like, okay, but it got more points. I got an extra point.
I said I fucking hated it.
but then they did get a few extra points from us watching the movie and you actually delving into it,
working it out.
Sometimes it helps us like a movie more, or sometimes it makes us like a movie less. Sometimes we watch a movie and we're like, oh damn, I thought I really liked this movie, but I guess I do not like this movie anymore. Or after tearing it apart, I got nothing, guys. And then sometimes we watch one and we're like, hey, that grew on me a little bit. After I searched the background for the props, I like this movie a little bit better now.
Sometimes my rating will go up a teeny tiny bit after fleshing it out with Jamie and someone else. And they might make me see their side of it a little bit more, and I might understand why they love it so much a little more, and that might raise my rating like a point.
I'm like, come to the horror comedy. Come to the horror comedy. It wants to disgust you and make you laugh.
That's right. Yeah.
The one movie I'll tell this story because I think it's hilarious. Is when we did I was forced to do, because this wasn't my pick, Tucker and Dale versus
love Tucker
Evil.
and Dale.
And
Oh,
I
okay.
saw this movie, and I saw it for the first time years ago when it came out, and I hated this movie. I hated this movie so much, and I was so mad that I was being forced to watch it. I said I wanted my hour and a half and 99 cents back. I really was angry that I was being forced to watch this movie, and I let him know too. I said it in the show.
I was like, you know what? You do your homework, okay? You
Uh-huh.
come on.
No, I didn't say it until it was showtime. I kept it to myself. But when we start talking about this movie, they realized very quickly that I hated this fucking movie. And I was very angry that I was forced to watch this movie. But again, it wasn't my pick. So I did it because that's what we do. We don't have to like everything. But talking about it, I think I went up like a point.
I'll take that. Hey, you know
Maybe.
what?
Oh.
We got an extra point on that movie.
But it
so-
was still really
I think you
low.
would have got. I think you would have gotten 2 extra points if there had been a little bit more Shelley Simmons in that movie than there was.
Mhm.
It was a really
I
cute.
don't know. I would have gotten extra points if Alan Tudyk did a song and dance like he did in Spam-A-Lot. You know, like if this was a Broadway production, I would be on board. But I was not feeling this movie at all. And I told him about it. I was like, I hate this movie. I'm so mad you made me watch this movie.
And I was like, let's do it again. Let's do it again.
I also felt the same. I felt the same way about Army of Darkness. I
think it was Army of Dark. Well, I think you kind of felt that way about the whole Evil Dead series. I think.
I'm sort of
like
I'm
2.
with you big time. I'm with you big time.
On which one?
I'm
Army?
with on Army of Darkness and Evil Dead 2. I just want to walk to Sam Raimi and say one thing to him and one like, Sam, I like you, but if you want to do a fucking comedy, do a fucking comedy. You got the clout, do it. Don't ruin the movies that you're making.
Oh, you know, speaking of comedies and Sam Raimi, have you seen Crime Wave?
No,
I
not
have
yet.
not seen that one. Mm-mm.
Okay, it's like 1985. It is brilliant. It's very vaudevillian.
I think I want to say Fangoria had fingers in that.
Yeah, and this was early Sam Raimi, but I think he'd already done Evil Dead 1, and Bruce Campbell had a part in it, of course. Sherry J. Wilson, big fan of hers, had a part in it. And God, I love that. Brian James Jones. He's passed now. Sorry, dude. Forgot your name for a second there. He is in it. Everyone. Louise Fletcher, not Louise Fletcher. The mom in Blood Rage is in it.
Mary Hartman.
Yes.
Louise Lasser.
Louise Lasser, that's it, not Louise Fletcher. She was in it. This movie had a great cast. This movie was a genius for the time, and it was, like I said, it was very much like a vaudeville show. But you know, that was a Sam Raimi movie, dude. Gotta check it out. It's not horror, but it's genius.
If he wants to go ahead and make a comedy, you got clout. Make a comedy. Make a straight comedy. Don't take, it's like, especially when you look at the first Evil Dead and how ferocious it was. It was just like, hell yeah. And then the second one's like,
I really did like part 2, but I did not like part 3 at all.
See, part 2 is my favorite. I love the comedy of that one, but part 1 was my favorite for a very long time because it's truly all about the horror, and it just has
scary ass movie.
It is. I first saw that one on the big screen too, which was sweet. It was the Screamorama that our local independent theater does here, and they did Evil Dead. Oh my gosh, they did Basket Case. So first time I saw Evil Dead was on the big screen, which was
that is gosh. Can we have you for like 8 more minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
we're having fun.
Oh, good. You're having good. I'm glad we're having fun. People are asking some questions, I think.
We're having a great time. We don't want to go.
Oh no, well then you can stay. Alan Tudyk she loves Alan Tudyk in that role.
He's a fantastic actor. I just hated the movie. I'm nothing against the people in it. I just didn't like the movie itself.
I was just upset about Tucker and Dale. The only thing that really bothered me about Tucker and Dale, there was not very much Shelley Simmons in it, and she's like one of my 2 favorite screen queens. So,
so you're like, I need some more.
oh my gosh, yes. She's sort of retired now, but she was an awesome screen queen. Let's see. What movies have the doll scene that they feel like that no one else has seen before about? Yeah, like let's talk about that. That's a really good question, Professor. So, because everybody here and everybody knows that I like championing small movies. So what's one movie that no one's ever talked about before that you just like? This movie needs to be seen
Oh,
by
I've got a
everybody.
couple.
I've got one just right off the bat. So,
Mhm.
and this one, Summer had seen this one like probably many times before. I had never seen it, and nobody had ever talked to me
I
about this
wonder if it's the
movie.
same one we're thinking.
And I thought it was perfect, and it's I Madman.
Yes.
Ah, okay.
Which one
So
is it?
Summer, I Madman.
Oh, okay, okay. I know that
Have
one.
you
You
ever seen
have
that?
it.
Oh,
Uh,
I've
uh,
never seen it, never heard of it. It has like this noir
Mhm.
like crime novels like noir
Yeah.
kind of feel because she's there's books and oh my god, it was so fun. The special effects was really neat and I had never heard of it, never had any of my horror friends talk to me about it, and I'm like, where has this movie been? Like, why haven't I ever heard of this movie? So she hooked me up with that one, and that's when I feel like I still don't hear a lot of people talk about.
And I am very stingy with my movie ratings. When we rate a movie, we go 1 to 10, right? And I very rarely give something a 9 or a 10. I'm really stingy. I gave that one a 10.
wow.
Mhm.
How many tens have been scored on this show on 180 episodes?
For
Ooh,
me, maybe like 3, 4 at the
hard
most.
hard to say because when I give higher scores when I love a movie, I really love it. So I've definitely given more tens. I gave The Thing a 10. Trying to think of some of my other tens that I gave up. Black Christmas got a 10 for me. I think Suspiria got a
You guys need
10
to
for
see more
me.
ISB movies. You have a lot more tens.
Yeah, I
Ooh.
am. I gave a 10. I know I gave a 10 to I Madman because I surprised myself. I said when it came down to breaking rating this, I said this is damn near a perfect movie. I love everything about this movie. I have been obsessed with this movie ever since I first saw it as a child, and no one knows about it. Fuck it, it's a 10. I also
Yeah.
gave it, we did for Christmas one year. We did something a little different, and we decided to do the two segments of Tales from the Crypt that were the
Mm,
same. We did the all through the house portion of the original movie,
yep. Mm-hmm.
um, with Joan Collins, I think, right?
Yeah.
And then we
Mm-hmm.
did the all through the house portion of the TV show with Larry Drake in it. And so we did that in like one episode. And I gave that Tales from the Crypt show portion a 10. I remember that because again, I surprised myself, and when Clark listened to it, he's like, "Damn, you gave it a 10." you
Yeah.
know. So, he was surprised too, but it's like my favorite episode of Tales from the Crypt, one of them, and it's perfect, and so I gave that a 10. I don't know if I've given anything else a 10. Listeners, let me know if I gave anything else a 10.
I probably gave Frankenhooker a 10 as well. I give a tens like I've given out some
You
tens in
don't
my
give a
time.
lot of 10s. You give a lot of 9s, but it has to be something really spectacularly special for you to go 10. You give 9.5.
It's true.
You
I
don't
give
give a
nines.
you don't give a
Now,
whole lot of 10s.
how many episodes are you guys ahead of? Like I know you record. So I mean, so how many weeks? How many weeks do you usually have stacked
Well,
up?
we like to have at least 4, but we haven't had at least 4 for a very long time. We're really trying to get caught up. We're really pushing to get that backlog up. Um, just because if we want to take a weekend off to go to a convention, then we fall behind, right?
Right.
If we get so we've had instances where we couldn't record because we got sick. We couldn't speak, or it was really unpleasant to listen to us speak. you know so we've had emergencies come up, where we couldn't record. Something just prevented us from recording, so we would fall behind, but we had that backlog, so it was okay. So we're trying to get that backlog back up real hard. So hopefully we'll be up to date again real soon, but we like to stay at least a month ahead, if not more.
We
Yeah,
have
if
a
we
question
can.
for you. Who wants the question? Where did the title come from? The Dolls of Horror. Where did you guys come up with the title?
That came from Tori, actually. Good old Tori. We couldn't figure out what we were going to call this show when we figured out that we were going to do a show. And she was like, "Well, you're obsessed with dolls. like, guilty. And she goes, how about the dolls of horror? And then she conceptualized this whole thing. She goes, we could dress as dolls, be real cute. And I said, I like it. Of course, I love dolls. And it evolved from there. But, and does anyone, Jamie looks like a doll. Like, she has those big, beautiful eyes, perfect skin.
You're looking pretty
Um,
dolly yourself.
Oh, thanks. I mean, Jamie,
Look at all of us dolls in here tonight.
Jamie looks like a real life porcelain doll.
Oh my gosh.
Especially in, I mean, God, she's stunning, especially those eyes.
A possessed one.
No, those
creepy doll, I hope so.
those beautiful eyes you got. They're so big and like blue and just
Inquisitive, right?
stunning. Yeah.
You're the perfect person to ask questions.
She
so.
looks like a doll. So that, she's the perfect person for it to be a doll, obviously. But no, that name came from Tori, and that's how we couldn't find a name. She goes, well, you're obsessed with dolls. Let's be the dolls. I said, okay.
All right, that sounds like that's a great title for a show.
Yes, and I was surprised it wasn't taken.
Yeah, you said you would have had it and trademarked it.
I did. But before that, because I didn't go take that step until we got the Days of the Dead gig, and then we were going to be a little bit more in the public eye, so I didn't want anyone to take it from us. So that's when I went and got with an attorney and copyrighted it. But
we got the site domain too.
Yeah, and Jamie built us a website. No one had this name, and so that was very lucky and very cool and very surprising. I was surprised no one had this name.
Right. I think websites have actually gone down. I think people just go straight to social media now. They use their social media as their websites. It saves money doing the same thing, almost, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
All right, folks, you guys have any questions for our guest? We will have them for 10 minutes. So if you have questions,
we love questions.
Yes, questions.
Can I say another lesser known horror movie real quick, because we're about to hit April Fool's Day, and it is one of my favorites. It made my top 10 favorite movie list when I was trying to make it in my head. And my top 10 favorite movie list does change pretty frequently, depending on my mood. Yes. But my mood when I made this list was, I love Killer Party.
Oh, I knew you were gonna pick Killer Party.
So much. It opens up with an 1980s Canadian hair metal music video.
Yes. Did we have that great guillotine kill in that one? Okay, yes, okay.
It's Canadian. It is a genius. Zach Ward, I'm a big Zach Ward fan. His mom stars in it, and she plays the house mother. I mean, I love this movie so much, and Christy loves this movie, but not a lot of people know this movie. It is currently streaming on Screambox, everyone. If you want to watch a good April Fool's Day movie that's not April Fool's Day, check it out. You won't be sorry. If you love the 80s, you're going to love it.
Yeah. Is that your guys' favorite years for movies? Is the 80s? And let me scratch that question. Let me ask you this: how do you find a movie and talk about a movie that hasn't been pounded to dust?
I think that even the ones that we have covered that have been widely covered before, because we've done some of your just classic horrors, classic pieces of film history. We've done Halloween, and I think probably most horror podcasts have done something on Halloween before. But I think we bring like different categories to it. I don't think everybody always talks about the same stuff that we do. So I think the categories that Summer created were really helpful. So maybe they don't talk about a prop or their favorite quote. So I think we really,
or their fashion.
Fresh. Yeah, by adding these kind of fun things. Yeah.
Well, it also helps because I'm sorry, shiny thing over here. I forgot what I was going to say. When I was trying to figure out how we were going to do this show, the one thing I was hearing over and over again in all these podcasts was they weren't talking about specifics in a movie. They would pick a movie and say, I liked it or I didn't like it. And they might give a reason, but can we elaborate? Why? why. I thought it would be really much more interesting if we had more to talk about on why we liked it or why we didn't like this movie. A lot of the horror podcasts, they just were so generalized. And so
Mhm.
I was thinking, and I talked about this with Tori, so that's how we worked this out, was how can we make this more interesting? Because everyone is doing the same damn thing.
Mhm.
And that's
You
how we
bet. Yeah.
figured out our topics. But I was saying before, oh my God, before I got off track, with the hair, best hair came in when we were talking about Piranha with Billy, because Billy was in that movie and he had some very crunchy hair in that movie. It was the 90s, it was crunchy. Um,
It
um,
sure was.
right. And Tori's like, we need to have a best hair segment, because honestly, before that, a lot of the fashion moments I picked was hair. I
Mhm.
remember in Dr. Giggles, I picked the curly hair, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, so I picked some hair as my fashion moment, and that just opened up a whole new world of fashion for me because I wasn't paying attention to the hair. But the hair came in with our Piranha episode with Billy.
Yeah, and that's actually
Bringing
sort
it
of
back.
interesting. That's an interesting thing to bring into it because it's something you expect from a mainstream movie. Like you hear about people talk about the hair and the clothes and whatnot, but you really don't ever hear anybody talk about that sort of thing in horror movies. So nobody's worried. Nobody really thinks about it. The only thing they think about when they see clothes is like if it's a good-looking girl, is how
Yeah.
fast are they going to lose the top, and then
Yes.
it's all about the best kill. And it's
Yeah.
like so, but with a mainstream movie, yeah, they do talk about that. So I think that's pretty innovative.
Yeah.
It's definitely pretty different.
And
And with our
sometimes,
the 80s, there's lots to
oh
look
yeah.
at.
And
We watch a
sometimes
lot of 80s.
sometimes they'll pick a whole damn outfit, and then sometimes it's just like
A
earrings or a
piece, yeah.
watch, a shirt,
An eye
um,
patch.
an eye patch. Um,
Right, right,
I
right.
Yeah, so sometimes we pick a piece,
Sometimes
the
it's a whole
boots,
ensemble.
but sometimes it's the whole thing. And so it really, really gives it a lot of variety. I think it's fun. It's fun. And we're girls. We love to talk about the fashion, right?
Yeah.
I've got questions here.
Yeah.
Are you guys familiar with the movies from the asylum?
No.
Oh, oh Lord.
Do tell.
So
Sure.
No, no, no. We'll spare you. We want you to have a fun
Oh.
time. Oh my gosh, the asylum.
So we'll be like,
Uh,
fuck you.
yeah, the asylum is just, see, Echo saying the asylum, sadly, is not as good anymore as ITN. Yeah, we're gonna have to introduce them to those movies so they
yes,
can come back
please.
and
I'm
crush
game.
you.
Yeah.
We'll
I'll
send
watch
you.
anything.
Yeah, we'll send you some movies.
Cool.
The question
Good.
we asked: what are your top three criteria in what makes a great movie? Yeah. So what are three things you look for that makes a movie from going from good to great?
Oh, for me, I really like I think the score is really important,
Mm,
particularly with the horror movie.
yes.
And some of them can be really minimal. There's some horror scores that I think are really minimal, but they're really effective. So I think that's a good thing. Now, I'm not the type of person who needs to care about every character because a lot of characters are fodder, and I'm okay with that. I'm
Yeah.
totally okay with those kind of movies.
Hmm.
However, I think it helps, especially with horror at least, to have at least one character that we can relate to enough that we care enough to like follow them along on this process, right? Have to
Right.
relate to at least one person, at least a little bit. And, if you need to kill off everybody else, that's fine. And then I guess other than that, I mean I like cinematography a lot, so I want it to be shot in a way that I can see. We talk about this all the time. I hate when horror movies in particular get too dark and you can't see
Yeah.
what's happening. That
No.
drives
Yeah.
that drives me nuts. So
Striking notes too.
I'm like, I want to see. So it has to have good cinematography. I love me some like long shots that don't have
Hmm.
any cuts and kind of keep you in that moment like organically for like 2 minutes. So yeah, cinematography, a relatable character, good score. And this is for practical effects.
Practical effects. Yes, I definitely know. I see what you mean about the score, though. Let's see. Go Wild Eye. No, we want them to come back, Echo. Why are we? Oh Lord!
We'll come back and tell you that we hated it if
Yeah,
that's the case.
that's
If
exactly what
that's
you
the
do.
case,
It would be
But we'll pick a good fashion moment.
it would
we
be a
will.
short. It'd
We'll
be the
try.
shortest show ever. Welcome to the Dolls of Horror. They're coming back. They come out there, look at the camera, and go like, "Good night, folks. Bye."
We
If I
out.
tell you, if we make them watch Asylum and Wild Eye movies. Professor
I've
wants
seen
to
some
know.
Wild Eye movies. I
Oh,
wasn't crazy about them, but I've seen them.
wow, Professor, this is a good one. We should talk about this one too.
Yeah.
On our show. He wants to know about thoughts about Repo the Genetic Opera. Fantastic. First operatic movie ever. First operatic movie, I think, and definitely the first operatic horror movie. Not a musical.
Can I go,
Opera.
Jamie?
It's opera.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I don't like it, and I'm torn on this because we both love and adore Darren Lynn Bousman.
Oh
Mhm.
yeah.
We both love and adore the cast in it.
It's got Giles from Buffy, which is my
Bill
I
Moseley,
know.
Paul
Sarah Brightman.
Sorvino. But I don't like the music so much. And it didn't grab me. It didn't grab me. I didn't hate it. I saw it once and it was really built up to me. It was really like, you're going to love this movie. You love Rocky Horror. You're going to love this movie. And I watched it and I went,
I wouldn't.
I'm kind of fine if I never see this again.
I would never compare Rocky Horror to Genetic.
I don't know why they said that, but I thought I was going to love it, and I didn't. And I have watched it a couple more times, and I like it a little more, but I'm not a fan. I want to be a fan. That's the problem. I want to be a fan. I love everything that's a part of this movie. It's just really not my jam.
Yeah, I know a lot of people were really struggling with that. Because they're expecting that. They're expecting a Rocky Horror. The upbeat tempo and everything else. And it's like it's not that way. It's opera.
Well, I like opera too, though. I really do. I don't know why. That's one thing that bothers me. Maybe we need to do this movie, Jamie, to break down my feelings on this, because I don't understand why I didn't like it.
It has all the ingredients.
Right. It just didn't grab me.
It just was missing some like sauce or some cheese or something to kind of bring it
pizzazz.
It's missing hooks. That's what it's missing.
Yeah. I really want to love it. But I don't.
There's no chorus. There's no hooks. There's no anything bouncy along with it. But it's a brilliant movie though.
But like I said, I love opera. I do, but I don't. So I should like this movie, and maybe I need to talk it out, and maybe that'll help me like it more. Honestly, maybe we need to do that.
Talk it out.
Let's do that on the musical podcast, huh?
Yeah. Let's talk it out.
Yeah. You could definitely do that. All right, boys and girls, we are running out of time, but we know that we will be seeing you guys back.
Yes, please. We had such a great time.
We have had a wonderful time hosting you. We have all your links down below. Everybody here has subbed to you. We will push this out there. And I can't wait. We'll have you guys come back around September, October, maybe.
We would love to. And
you're an official doll now, so
yes,
I appreciate that. I wish that Cheetah would have came up here to say hello, but he's currently sleeping. Next time. Thank you so much for coming out. This has been awesome.
Before we go, can I just say a quick thank you to everybody who is in the chat, even though I couldn't see the comments. Thank you to all of our listeners and all of your listeners that came and participated. John, Clark, Billy, Nina, and everybody else. We just love you so much. And the fact that you were here, it means a lot. Thank you.
I know. It's really, really nice of you guys. Thank you.
Yes.
Yes, I thank everybody in the chat. You guys been really rocking it. We've really been having a lot of fun lately here. It's been our best stretch. The last, actually, for this whole month has been a really good stretch for us.
Exciting.
We did Women in Horror Month, and we had a really fun stretch. We met some really beautiful people and some really good actors and some real novelists.
I'm jealous of you, Patrick.
Why?
Because I saw your interview with Deborah Sullivan.
I saw that
Oh.
too.
And
We love her.
I, first of all, Secret Santa, one of my new favorite Christmas movies
I
ever.
know.
Santa is so crazy.
I love
I
that
know.
movie so much. I related to that
too.
movie. I'm pretty anti-family, so I was like, yeah, kill them all with a fork in the eye. But
Yes.
I adore Adam and Deborah, and I've been watching Deborah since I was a kid. You know, she had a tiny guest spot in 90210 way back when, and that's my favorite show in the whole world. So I saw your interview with Deborah, and
Mhm.
we want to, but we haven't got to, the schedules haven't worked to get her on. So I'm like, you got to talk to Deborah, and we haven't yet.
We got to talk to Adam too.
I mean, we did do Adam about a year and a half ago, and that was a real
Yeah,
treat.
That was a
Adam,
blast.
yeah, he's a hoot. He's a perfect guest.
He's a
I
fucking genius, is what he
know.
is. He's
a
brilliant.
fucking
Yeah,
genius.
he really truly is. That'll be my last question for the night is who's your Grail guest? If you could interview one person, who would you want to be?
Alive or dead or just alive?
Alive.
You open up the whole
Dang
can
it.
of worms with the
Because
dead.
I was gonna say John Saxon, but I didn't get. But he's not with us anymore, so I can't.
Oh, I love John Saxon.
I
John
would
Saxon's
do
the shit.
too.
I would have said Luke Perry if it was dead, but even though he's not horror, I want to talk to him so badly.
John Saxon's one of the very few people I ever because I've been around well-known folks for years before this. I was live music for 10 years in California, so I met a ton of bands. So I didn't meet so I'm pretty hardcore when it comes down to meeting well-known people. But I fanboyed out meeting John Saxon.
I would have too. So
he's my favorite.
Can we tell them about the JS scale?
Just real quick.
Oh. The John Saxon cool scale?
The John Saxon sexy scale.
The John Saxon
See,
Freudian slip. We discovered in the Black Christmas episode because he is at peak foxy. Oh, he is so foxy in that one. Where I was like, how have we never talked about him before? Because he is amazing and I love him so much and I have such a crush. And so now we have the JS scale. So when we're looking at one of these fellas on the movie, we're like, yeah, but on the JS scale.
Or even a fella in real life, when we see a cute guy,
where does he fall on the JS scale?
Text each other on where he falls on the JS scale.
Nice.
1 to 10. I'm like, 8. So anyway, so back to the original question. I'm sorry, Jamie.
Sorry.
Alive, who for you?
Oh gosh, let me David Naughton. I still haven't met him yet, and I love him. I love American Werewolf in London. It was my first R-rated movie, and I adore it, and I would love to meet him.
I haven't seen him in the public eye in forever.
He does conventions sometimes, but
sometimes.
a couple a year normally. But he's a lovely, lovely human. For me, Jamie Lee Curtis, probably, because I got so much I want to talk to her other than horror. We need to talk A Fish Called Wanda. Well, we need to talk about Trading Places. We need to talk about My Girl. We need to talk about everything that she's done that is not Halloween.
Well, what can we talk to her about Tony?
About what?
Can we talk to her about Tony?
Her dad?
Yes.
Well, I'm not sure if she would want to talk about that.
I thought they were at peace toward the end there.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
That's a good question.
She would probably be one that we would give a pre-interview to, to see where they want to go.
Yeah.
You know what? So she is probably my top. She's my bucket list person and for someone I need to meet before I or she dies. Someone asked me that, who in horror do you want to meet? And first I said Stephen King, and then I'm like, no, wait, Jamie Lee Curtis. She's so unattainable, especially now. This is before she won an Oscar. Now she's really unattainable. But I mean, someone else, another bucket list person I would love to interview would be, I would love a good hour with Robert Englund.
Robert Englund would be fun to talk to. I read his book.
John Carpenter. I would love to meet John Carpenter.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, so many living legends right now.
Like, why did you make Ghost of Mars? But
Oh, I forgot about that movie. Oh my gosh.
They weren't all gems.
They're not all gems, but some of them are gems.
Some of
But
them are
yeah,
fun though.
I forgot about that
yeah.
movie.
The two I could tell you right now for me, top of the head, would be Liam Gavin would be my first one. As far as that goes, as far as director goes, I would talk to Liam Gavin. He did a movie called A Dark Song. And the other one who I talked to if I got a chance would be Haley Bennett.
Mm.
Oh,
I want to talk to Haley Bennett. All right, boys and girls. Thank you guys so much. I had so much fun with you. I'll let you guys go. The chat, you guys have been awesome. Thank you guys so much. We'll be back here tomorrow night with a special FX makeup artist. Jamie Apple will be here with us. And she just landed. You talk about practical effects. She just landed the job of special effects for Crackoon.
I love it.
Oh, I
Can we-
can't wait to
Big
see
Crackoon.
that.
Give me Crackoon. I love that.
we got. I think we got so far. We got Cocaine Bear. We got
Mhm.
Meth Gator from
Yep.
the asylum. So you've been warned. And now Crackoon. I'm waiting for them to do Crazy Cheetah so I can make some money off this thing.
There you go.
Well,
You
I
two
can't
ladies-
wait to see your interview with her because I mean, God, yes.
Oh yes,
Yes.
she's gonna be amazing. She's already booked out the rest of the year, so her
See?
talent is really good.
See?
Really,
You go,
really good.
girl.
Yeah.
We
Killing
interviewed-
it.
Yes, yeah. I really enjoy talking to the makeup artists. They're a lot of fun to talk
Oh
to.
yeah.
Yep. We interviewed one earlier who Bree Miller. Fantastic. We were talking to her. I'm going to see if Jamie will do the same thing. We were talking to her, and she built a cut on her hand while we were doing the interview.
How fun.
Yeah. So, all right, boys and girls in the chat, you two ladies stay right there for 1 second. Everybody else, I'm going to say goodnight, and we'll see you tomorrow night at our regular start time at 8 p.m. for Jamie Apple. And thanks so much for coming in, and we will talk to you soon. Peace.
Bye.
Bye.